Hello my friend, welcome back to another video. In this video we're going to talk about Judas Iscariot and the reason why he betrayed Jesus. Before we begin, please like and subscribe. Also, please keep in mind that the translation of the Bible that I'll be reading from is the New King James Version. And now, without further ado, let us dive straight into the topic. When we hear the name Judas Iscariot, one word instantly comes to mind: betrayal. The man who kissed his master, his Lord and his Savior, only to hand him over to his enemies. The disciple who traded the Son of God for 30 pieces of silver. But what if I told you that Judas' story is much deeper than a single act of treachery? What if his life has lessons not just about betrayal but about faith, disappointment, guilt, and the mysterious grace of God? Today, we're going to take a deeper look beyond the betrayal. He wasn't a Pharisee, a Roman soldier, or an enemy lurking in the shadows. He was one of the 12, chosen by Jesus himself. Think about that. Judas walked with Jesus. He saw miracles with his own eyes. He ate the bread multiplied on the hillside. He watched the lame walk and the blind see. And among the disciples, Judas held a special role. He was the treasurer, the one who kept the money bag. That meant the group trusted him, at least for a while. But the Gospels also hint that Judas sometimes dipped into that purse for himself. A little dishonesty here, a little selfishness there. Isn't that how betrayal usually begins? Not with a sudden act of treachery, but with small compromises that grow over time. The question everyone asks is, why? Why would someone so close to Jesus betray him? The Bible gives us a few possible answers. Money. Matthew says, Judas asked the priests, "What will you give me if I hand him over?" And they counted out 30 pieces of silver, the price of a slave. Disappointment, some believe Judas expected Jesus to be a political messiah, someone who would overthrow Rome and restore Israel's power. But Jesus spoke of humility, of suffering, of carrying a cross. Maybe Judas grew bitter. Maybe he wanted to push Jesus into action. Spiritual darkness. The Gospels also say Satan entered Judas's heart. He opened a door, and the darkness rushed in. And finally, divine mystery. Jesus himself said, "The Son of Man will go as it has been decreed, but woe to that man who betrays him." In other words, Judas' act was both part of God's plan and his own terrible choice. Pause. Let the word sink in. You, Judas, late at night, in the Garden of Gethsemane. Judas arrived with soldiers and priests. He had given them a signal. The one I kiss is the man. Arrest him. And then he approached Jesus and kissed him. A kiss normally, a sign of love, turned into the weapon of betrayal. But Jesus looked into Judas' eyes and called him friend. That single word tells us everything about the heart of Christ. Even as Judas betrayed him, Jesus reached out one last time with mercy. When Judas saw Jesus condemned, the weight of guilt crushed him. He returned the silver, throwing it at the feet of the priests, and cried out, "I have sinned, for I have betrayed innocent blood." But the priests sneered. What is that to us? See to it yourself. Rejected. Alone. Hopeless. Judas fled, and in despair, he ended his life. This is the tragedy of Judas. Not only that he betrayed Jesus, but that he could not believe in forgiveness. Compare him to Peter. Peter also betrayed Jesus 3 times, but Peter wept, repented, and was restored. The difference between Judas and Peter was not the size of their sin, but whether they believed in mercy. For centuries, Judas has been remembered for his betrayal in Dante's Inferno. He suffers in the lowest pit of hell, forever devoured by Satan. In art, he's the shadow at the Last Supper, clutching his coins. And yet history has wrestled with his story. So mit Oberlind, like the so-called Gospel of Judas. Even portray him as the one disciple chosen to carry out the hardest role. Was Judas simply evil, or was he also a tragic figure, caught in a mystery bigger than himself? The Bible does not give us easy answers. Betrayal begins long before the kiss in the garden. It starts with unchecked desires, hidden sins, and tiny acts of dishonesty. Don't let disappointment twist your faith. Judas wanted Jesus on his own terms. But when God doesn't meet our expectations, do we turn away or trust his plan? Never let guilt turn into despair. The cross of Christ is proof that forgiveness is always possible. No sin is too great for his mercy. Remember, Jesus still called Judas friend. Even in betrayal, love reached out. That's the heart of the gospel. It reflects the weakness in all of us. The times we choose silver over truth, compromise over faith, despair over hope. But beyond the betrayal lies the greater truth. The mercy of Jesus is deeper than our failure. The only true tragedy is not betrayal, but refusing to believe that forgiveness is possible. So when you hear the name Judas, don't just think of treachery. Think of the warning and the invitation, because Judas' story whispers this eternal truth. Christ's love reaches even for the betrayer, you smiling gently. Thank you for watching. If this reflection touched you, share it with someone who needs hope today. And don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the hidden stories of the Bible. Fade to black.